Yo, what is it? You already know what it is, man. This is your man, Levon. Just coming back one more again, man, with your wisdom on Wednesday, you dig? It's a beautiful day. It's a day for some wisdom. Yo, check it out. On today, we're going to talk about how you need to count up the cost. Count up the cost, you dig? That's the message of today's Wisdom on Wednesday. Count up the cost. A lot of times we don't do that. We don't take the time to count up the cost, right? So we're going to talk about that. We're going to get into it today. If it's your first time to my channel, welcome to my channel. This is Levon Says. This is a channel where we uplift and we motivate on a daily basis. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, you dig? We post on this channel. I post on this channel. I post positive, motivating content that'll make you think, that'll make you ask questions of yourself and do self-examinations, and that will enlighten you in areas that you might have not thought about before. You dig? So I hope you enjoyed today's content. I hope you enjoy my channel. Please like, share, leave a comment on the channel in the comments down below, because somebody else needs to hear what you have to say. Listen, man, save yourself some embarrassment. Save yourself a lot of heartache and a lot of hardships. I'm talking from experience, y'all, okay? Because in a lot of areas, I did not count up the cost. I was just moving. I was just doing, you know, and whether it seemed good in the beginning or it didn't seem too good, but I just kept pressing forward. A lot of times I did not count up the cost, and I wound up paying for it, and it cost me dearly. You dig? So I'm talking to y'all from experience. Take it from your man, Levon. Please. It's so important. Count up the cost. Don't embarrass yourself. Don't make yourself look foolish. Don't embarrass your family. And most importantly, don't bring a reproach onto God because you didn't count up the cost. People out here making grown decisions, right? And starting families and getting married and having babies and, you know, all these kind of things. But again, do they count up the cost? You know what I'm saying? Having a child isn't cheap. Having a child, you know, can be quite expensive. You dig? You have to pay for to have the child if you don't have some kind of insurance and medical care, right? Then you have to care for that child. You have to provide food and Pampers and clothes and you know, shelter for 18 to 20 years, if not longer. But a lot of people don't count up the cost. They don't count up where they're at in life, where they're trying to go, if they're prepared for a child, if they have the support system that's needed to rear and raise a child. When they talk about, you know, I want to get married, I want to start a family, right? Are you prepared to be married? Are you marriage material? Are you in a place to be able to be someone's husband or someone's wife? Have you researched the idea and the thought of marriage and what it takes? Have you seen enough examples before you? Have you had enough experience that you've seen and been around in your life to say, you know what, I think I want to be married. I have what it takes to be married. You know, let's do it. I've counted the cost. I've weighed my options. And yeah, I want to be somebody's husband or wife. You dig? Have you counted up the cost when it comes to your career, your job, what you do every day in and out? We hear all the time, man, do something that makes you happy. Do something that, you know, that you want to do, because then you'll have a more prosperous life. You'll have a better quality of life. You'll live longer. We hear all these things, right? But do we count up the costs really when it comes to our careers? Or do we just do something that we think we want to do? It looks fun. It looks cool. You know, we think we could be good at it because of what someone else has done, but yet we didn't count up the cost of what it took for them to get to where they're at. We didn't count up the cost to say, is this really what I'm good at? Is this something I really want to do for the rest of my life? Is this going to get me where I want to be in life? Or am I going to have to at some point change careers, go a different route? So these are things that we fail to count up. We fail to sit down and really look at it, analyze, even fail to talk to someone else that may know better, that are in a better position to help give us advice on that particular subject. You know what I'm saying? That's what we need to do. We need to start incorporating the help of others that have done it and have been successful to find out how they did it. And if there's something we need to change or tweak, or that we need to make it our own, we can do that. But we've went through the necessary information and knowledge, and we've counted up the cost. I don't know how more I can say it, how more clearly I can say it, how many more allegories and different ways that I can present it. In every decision that we do, we need to count up the cost. You dig? That is so important. You just can't get around it. What you have to say is important, man. A lot of people think that, your words don't matter. But I'm here to tell you, man, your words do matter. They're very important. You dig? What you say and how you say it matters. If you go into a boardroom or you go into a business meeting, right? So no different if you was, in a board meeting, or, if you were, in a situation where you had to give a presentation, or, if you had to do something along those lines, right, where you got to give an account, you got to give an accountability. If you go into that board meeting and you haven't counted up the cost, right? You don't have your stuff together. You don't have your figures together. You don't have your numbers together. You can't show someone, some kind of slide or a graph, what you're doing, what it's going to cost to do it, the man hours, the time, the labor, the necessary materials, all those things make up counting up the cost. You did? And when we don't count up the cost is when we tend to make a lot of mistakes and a lot of errors and misjudgments, right? And those errors and mistakes and misjudgments don't just cost you. A lot of times they wind up costing others because you didn't count the cost. You didn't sit down and say, you know what, if I go this route, how is it going to affect me? How is it going to affect those that are helping me or aiding and assisting, supporting me? You didn't take the time to have enough forethought to say, well, if this happens, this is how I'm going to approach it. Or if this happens, this is what I'm going to do to rectify the situation. A lot of times we don't think that far ahead because we didn't count up the cost. So this is why it's very important, man, to sit down with a piece of paper, sit down with someone who maybe can counsel you or give you some wisdom. Sit down with some other people that know what they're doing. They're operating in the area that you may particularly want to operate, and get some wisdom and find out what they did and find out how they did it. Because if you don't count up the cost, then what's going to happen is, man, people are going to look at you and they're going to say, yo, didn't you say that you were going to do this? And didn't you say that God had given you and blessed you with the opportunity to do this and do that? And then what you do, you open the door for people to mock God because you said, look what God has done. God is going to bless me, and God has da, 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 da. You start opening your mouth and talking before you finish doing what you needed to do. You dig? So let that be a lesson to me and to all of us this morning. Count up the costs before we start doing something, so we don't make ourselves look foolish. We don't make ourselves look bad. We don't make God look foolish and look bad, because, we represent him. And when you go around and you open your mouth and you talk before things are completed, right? When you go around and you boast about what you're doing and how grand and how great it's going to be and how it's going to do this and do that, and it's not even done yet, then you put yourself in a position to where you can make yourself look foolish and make God look foolish if you did not sit up and count the costs. You know what I'm saying? This is why it's so important to talk to folks that have done it before us. Get their advice, get their wisdom, and then if you have to, ask God to give you how to put your spin on it. But instead of going at it alone, make sure that you count up the costs. This is your man Levon, and this has been Levon Says. Please like, share, and hit that bell notification so you're always notified upon my next video upload. One love.